Problem-solving graphs. Discover money raised at a fete, and you can see along the bottom we've got year 3, year 4, year 5 and year 6, and on the vertical axis we've got the money raised at a fete. The question 1a says, how much more money did years 3 and 4 raise in total compared to years 5 and 6? And question 1b says, year 4 raised money by selling cards for £2 each. How many cards did they sell in total? Time to share our answers, and we can see here, I need to work out how much years 3 and 4 raised all together first. So we need to have a look at the bar charts. Once again, we go up with year 3 and see how much they've raised. Now they've raised in between 100 and 120 pounds. Okay, so what is that interval there? The interval is 20. So half of 20 is 10. So it's 110 pounds. Year 4, if we go up, then along, we can see I've raised 120 pounds. So 120 plus 110 is 230. So years 3 and 4 raised 230 altogether. So now we look at years 5 and 6. And the bar chart, again, we'll look at year 5. We go up and we can see that they've raised in between 120 and 140. And we said as these intervals are 20, halfway will be 10. So 120 plus 10 is 130. And year 6, halfway between 60 and 80. So we add that 10 to 60 and it's 70. Yes, 70 is in between 60 and 80. Right, okay, so it's 130 plus 70 equals 200. So years 5 and 6 raised 200 altogether. So if 3 and 4 raised 230 and 5 and 6 raised 200, that means that years 3 and 4 raised £30 more than years 5 and 6. And we found the difference by taking away year 5, 6 amount on the years 3, 4. And question 1b, year 4 raised £120. Now, if they sold their cards for £2 each, how many cards did they sell? Well, imagine if they'd sold £12 worth of cards and there was £2 each, that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That would be 6 cards, okay, because we're dividing 12 by 2. But it's £120. So now we think of our related facts. 120 divided by 2, well, if 12 divided by 2 is 6, 120 divided by 2 is 60. So year 4 sold 60 cards in total. Think together. Question 1. This graph shows how much money was raised by each class. How much more money did Maple and Ash classes raise in total compared to Oak and Willow classes in total? Okay, question 1a is how much money did the 4 classes raise altogether? And question 1b says each child in Oak class raised £5. How many children are there in Oak class? Read through the questions and have a go at answering them. So let's have a look at the answers now. So here we've got Maple, Ash, Oak and Willow classes along the horizontal axis, and along the vertical axis we've got all the money there. And we can see that Maple, now this time the intervals are going up in 10. Okay, they're multiples of 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. So Maple was in between 130 and 140. So what is halfway between there? Well, if the interval is 10, then halfway will be 5. So that's £135. And Ash, we follow Ash class up, they are in between 100 and 110. So if we're adding 5 to 100, it's 105. So 135 plus 105, if we add those two together, we get 240. Now let's have a look at Oak. Oak class, we go up the bar chart, we look across, halfway between 110 and 120. We know halfway is 5. So 110 plus 5 is 115. And Willow class, they made between 60 and 70 pounds. So that will be 65. If we add those two together, we get 180. So let's find out the difference in the amount between the two sets of class. So Maple and Ash raised 240. Oak and Willow raised 180. And the difference between those two amounts, if we take 180 away from 240, is 60. So Maple and Ash classes raised £60 more than Oak and Willow classes. Now question 1a says, how much money did the four classes raise altogether? So we need to add together all the totals of the classes. So we know that Maple and Ash raised 240, and we know that Oak and Willow raised 180 altogether. So that's 240 plus 180. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 8 is 12, or 12 tens. So 12 tens is 120. So we put the 20 in and we carry the 100 over to the 100s column. 2 plus 1 is 4. So how much did they raise altogether? It was 420. So let's have a look at question 1b. Each child in Oak class raised £5. How many children are there in Oak class? Well, let's look at Oak class again. Okay, there was £115 raised by Oak class. So that's 115. And we've got to divide that by £5. Okay, now I know if you divide 100 by 5, that's 20. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Okay, so that's 20. And there are 3 5s in 15. 5, 10, 15. So 20 and 3 together is 23. So there are 23 children in the Oak class. Question 2. The pictogram shows the number of soft toys year 3 sold at a summer fair. Question A is, which soft toys did year 3 sell more than 10 of? And question B says, each soft toy sold for £5. How much money did selling lions and dogs make? Have a look at the questions and see if you can find out the answers. Okay, so let's have a look at question 2a. Which soft toys did year 3 sell more than 10 of? So we need to know how much, what quantity a circle represents. Okay, and we find out here that a circle represents 2 soft toys. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 5 circles equals 10. So we're looking at how many toys sold more than 10. If I put a line there, I can now see all the toys that sold over 10. So I know that the lion sold more than 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yep. And owls sold 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And half of 2 is 1, so 10, 11. Okay, and you can see that the cats and the dogs sold much less than 10. So lions and owls, they sold more than 10 of. Now, each soft toy sold for £5. How much money did selling lions and dogs make? Well, we just said that the lions, they sold 14 lions. And the dogs, 2, 4, 6. They sold 6 dogs. So we've got a 2-step problem here. Step 1, we need to add together all those animals. So 14 plus 6, well, 4 and 6 is a number bond. So 14 plus 6 is 20. Step 2, animals selling for £5 each, 20 lots of £5, well, 2 lots of 5 is 10. So using my related facts, 20 lots of 5 is 100. Okay, so the lions and dogs made £100 for year 3. And if you finished all your work in your books, here's the challenge question. And as usual, all the answers are at the end of the video.